People are instilled with hate at such a young age based on the color of their skin. In college, I took a course in American ethnic minorities that really focused on race relations. The Hate You Give, based on a true story, really displays the harsh reality of racism that African Americans face. As I go ahead and give this speech, I will go ahead and talk about the inspiration behind The Hate You Give, how people of color are stereotyped, and how systems of power really help marginalize these people. The inspiration behind The Hate You Give was really Angie Thomas, who ended up writing a novel called The Hate You Give. It actually ended up being in the New York Times bestsellers list for 38 weeks in a row. It was a true story of Oscar Grant, who was killed in Oakland, California in 2009. So, although the characters of The Hate You Give are fictitious, the novel is based on the true story of Thomas, who was murdered by a police officer, and he was a 22-year-old man. My academic source, an International Journal of Multicultural Education by Dowie Chin 2020, states, displays how the films like The Hate You Give help raise awareness regarding racism in America. As well as this being a true story, it also was an inspiration by the Black Lives Matter movement. And this movement has really been fighting to be heard since 2013, and it has been fighting against racism, and it has been fighting against police brutality. I believe that this movie really, the topics and the message from this movie help bring awareness of the problems that we still have in society. Angie brought light into the injustice that they faced. We see that people of color are stereotyped. We see they are stereotyped as being ghetto. We see Star doing this code switching as she goes between Garden Heights and her Williamson prep self. And we see that she changes the way she looks, she changes the way she talks in between these two scenarios called code switching. And I really believe that this is because she knows that if she acts a certain way at her Williamson prep, then she will be labeled as ghetto. And many African Americans, this is normal to them, this code switching. Slang that makes white people look cooler has the opposite effect as it would on Star, and she would be labeled ghetto. They are also seen as criminals. Khalil was unarmed and killed for having a hairbrush in his hand. He is shot when the white officer believes Khalil is grabbing a weapon. April Ofra in The Hate You Give by Tillman in 2018 says, "It is impossible to be unarmed when our blackness is the weapon that they fear." It is so true. Can you imagine being killed for a hairbrush? And this is exactly what happened when Khalil went and grabbed his hairbrush. As he was going to comb his hair, he was shot by this police officer. He was seen as a criminal, he was seen as violent, and that is the only reason he was shot. Khalil was stereotyped because he was black. And because people of color are seen as violent and dangerous. An academic source states in The Long Reach of Prejudice Places by Murphy in 2020, in American society, all black men must contend with associations between the racial group and negative stereotypes, such as criminality, intelligence, and laziness. Society uses these stereotypes also to justify their violence and racism against them. Khalil just died, and the detectives are only focused on the drugs and Khalil being a drug dealer. And him being a drug dealer really became a justification for his death. The cop was protected. He was placed on an administrative paid leave. There was no conviction. He wasn't even fired. He was just on paid leave. In the book Getting Real About Race by McClure and Harris, 2020, he gives a statistic that states that 99% of black killings by police officers don't result in criminal charges. Society plays a part in this injustice, but so do systems of power. Systems of power help marginalize people. A school system, a neighborhood, Garden Heights was only known for getting high, getting jumped, and getting pregnant. Star's mom decided to move her children into another school, to Williamson Prep, to provide her kids with a better future, one with a college opportunity, one that she knew Garden Heights could not provide based on where they live and the community that lived within this city. There was a lack of opportunities. Khalil began to drug deal because of his family's poverty, which resulted in the lack of opportunities. There were no jobs that his family had. The book Getting Real About Race essay 25 states, the percentage of black children living in poverty is triple the percentage of white children living in poverty. The black unemployment rate is consistently twice the unemployment rate of white Americans. The system leaves them no other option than to fall into this trap of selling drugs to provide for the family. It becomes this generational cycle that just happens and plays over and over and over again. And really is a domino effect. It starts from the school not being able to provide resources for them to make it to college, to be able to obtain a job. Overall, The Hate U Give was really powerful. This movie enlightened us on the harsh realities that African Americans encounter. During the speech, I gave a quick overview of the movie, how I displayed how African Americans are labeled based on preconceived notions and how there's a system of power that works against the minority. I will leave you with these final words from Star. We are witnesses to this injustice. No matter what we say, no matter how loud we shout, they refuse to hear us.